How did you get into procurements? What are you doing? Where are you placed? Uh, Anything that you can share about your journey? Oh, we lost him exactly at 5:30, is it? No problem. By the time Supratim comes back, uh, I would start my journey. So, like most procurement guys, it's been an what do you call an accidental one. So I'm a chartered accountant by profession. I mean by qualification, and I was assisting as an executive assistant to the CEO at ArcelorMittal. I mean then SR Steel, and looking at the acumen that I had in business processes and streamlining the business processes, he set me out to procurements because he wanted to streamline procurements. Yeah, so I shifted to procurements and I found procurement supply chains very interesting actually. Okay, and I became a hardcore procurement agent. So this was a time when there was, if you have heard of SR Steel, which was into reconstruction phase, okay, which had basically gone bankrupt. So there were no vendors who were willing to supply to us. Okay, and it was at that point of time, and we used to beg people, and I'm talking about a company that has a turnover of around 40-50,000 crores, okay, per
Right.
annum, okay, and we were asking vendors to please supply it out to us, and we promise we'll pay you back. So that was the situation. So there I learned, how can you the interpersonal skills to manage the clients, I mean the vendors well. Afterwards, when the ArcelorMittal finally took over, uh, we were faced with another challenge, which was COVID. So there were supply chain disruptions, complete supply chain disruptions, and I was in the field of IT. So if you people are in IT, you know that at that point of time, everybody wanted laptops. Okay, and
Right.
there was a huge shortage of the chips,
Right. Yes.
Intel chips, and the
Right.
laptops and
Right.
everything.
The entire
Okay,
chips industry was down.
yeah, the entire IT
Yeah.
industry was down.
Right.
So it was at that point of time that I understood, what is the significance of supply chain. I mean,
Right.
if you can't buy, if you can't provide the material at the right time, there's no need of the material then. Okay, so that was my journey. I mean, I don't want to take more much of the people's time. Now we're back. So, Supratim, please go on. Uh, Share your journey with the audience.
Right. So I have been in the job for a long, long time now. I started off in 2003. So when I joined, we were doing a job for lastminute.com. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. It's a travel website in UK. So lastminute.com was considered to be like the Amazon of UK. So it had all the hotels, it had all the gifts item, experiences. We even have something like food ordering, device and all. So what would come to India, like let's say 15 years back, I was doing it in 2003. So in 2003, we were talking about e-commerce, we were talking about supplier relationship, we were talking about things that were very much advanced in that stage as well, even for UK for that matter. So we were doing it, and I was in the supplier management kind of thing. So any issue with the gifts or any issue with anything, we used to handle that. So we used to relocate the customers for a hotel, or if they are not happy with the gift, we used to get the return and refund and all that. So from there, I started knowing that how to handle the suppliers, what kind of relationship you make with the suppliers. And then I joined Honeywell. There I was doing the contract management. From Honeywell, I joined to DuPont. And now DuPont is where I officially started with procurement. So there also we started off with contracts management. I was given the category for IT first. So like you, I also started with IT. We started off with the contracts management. I was doing the drafting of the contracts, sending it to the supplier, and they used to redline the contract. We used to negotiate on the terms and how the legal terms worked and all that. So there, I first understood as to what the terms are, what can how big an impact that term can do. So, like, let's say indemnification. What is the impact of indemnification if you ask in that way? What kind of impact would a intellectual property act have in a this thing? So started off with IT, then went to marketing. Marketing is where I started understanding the value of brand. What does brand mean? What kind of damage the brand can have, and what kind of value you bring to the branding of the company that you are doing for, right? So after that, I went to another company called Novartis. That's a US company, and now Novartis, I worked for the strategic sourcing department for Novartis. There is where the big money and big chunk of spend was there. So I started handling contracts that were huge in that manner, that they were like somewhere like $2 million, somewhere like $3 million and all that. So it was huge money. I felt nice that okay, so much money is coming in my hand, I could spend well. After that, I moved on to Infosys, worked there for some time, and then I worked for SDI. I have been with SDI for 8.5 years now, almost. So I manage the spend for SDI for Asia Pacific and EMEA. So I have a lot of countries that I work for, and I have a team of buyers that are managing the spend for our clients. So various clients, various countries, a lot of dynamics that are working in SDI. So it's a dynamic role. It's a good role. I like working for procurement, and that's the whole point. When Rachit said that, can we do something for the community as to how we can give it back to them? I said, yeah, why not? Whatever we can do, we should be doing it, because at one point of time we were also struggling in our lives, in our career, and I think for me at least, procurement was the way forward. It gave me the way that okay, this can also be a career for me, and that is how it has been. So I hope that I can be of help to somebody at least.
So, Supratim, I mean, so many places you have, worked. So, what are the key skills that you think are necessary for any procurement guy to have? Okay, and how and what are the key skills that you see now when you're handling a team of around 18-20 people? So, what are the skills, basic interpersonal skills, or any other skills that you see in a procurement guy
So I'll
to
tell you
have?
the skill sets that are there, and then I will maybe sum it up for one skill that will be there. That would be the key takeaway for everything, right? So let's start with the initial ones, right? Wherever you are seeing procurement, let's say operations or spend analysis or anything, I think problem solving is the starting point, right? So what are you solving for your client? That is the first question that you should ask yourself. If you are in a help desk, are you guiding somebody to some answers? If you are a buyer, you are actually buying things and solving their problem, what the stakeholder's problem is when he is getting you a request. So problem solving is first skill. Then communication is another big skill, right? You have to communicate with your supplier, you have to communicate with your stakeholder, you will have to communicate with a lot of people that are there, like legal team, marketing team, IT team. A lot of teams are there which you communicate, and every time you have to communicate like you are the expert. You are solving the problem, and you are giving the solution to the guy. Then negotiation skill is a big important skill there. You would be negotiating with CEOs, with big company directors and all. And as a buyer, you will have to negotiate like you are equal to the guy, right? So negotiation skills is very important. The sales guys are getting trained a lot. So you have to shape up your negotiation skills as well. Then ethics is a big time thing in procurement. You have to have ethics. You have to have very high standards of ethics, and you have to deal in ethics. Now, as I said, if you combine all these skills, and the one skill that is the most important one is the ownership skill and the leadership skill, right? So I would say the business ownership is the biggest skill that you can have for procurement. If you own your request, if you own your process, you know what you want, you know what your stakeholder want, you have to deal your thing like a businessman does for your his company or his product. That is how your ownership skills should be. And in that way, if you see, that is what the leadership skill is also. So procurement guys are actually a shortcut to the leadership training or leadership skills that is there. So I think that is one of the biggest takeaway. If you don't remember anything from this podcast, I would be very happy. But if you remember this part, that would be the happiest thing I would say. That you have to have the leadership skills and you have to have the ownership skills, like the business ownership and the leadership skills.
Okay, let me put it this way. I mean, see, most of the procurement guys in the field, I mean, in procurement, come by accident. Okay, they are seldomly by choice. So, are there some sort of certifications that should also be done so that you could get into more leadership roles, or is it mostly into the interpersonal or the what do you call it? A person's inner skills that matter to soar high in the career. So, is it also the certifications? Are there any sort of certification that somebody can take? Also, hi Ishwar, I can see you. Just I'm gonna take you in a bit, man. Okay. I hope you're enjoying. Yeah. Thank you.
Right. Uh, so certification. See, I myself don't have any certifications. So I have always believed the fact that you learn on your job more than anything else. So whatever you do, whatever experience you have, that is the best kind of learning that you can have, right? But I do understand that when a person is interviewing you, or when you are applying for a job, they might want to have a certificate. Now it is easier for an interviewer to have a certificate. Like for example, if you show me a certificate, it is easier for me to trust that certificate. If you don't have a certificate, then I will have to dig into it. I will have to ask you questions, right? So if I don't want to ask you questions, if I don't want to invest my time, that is where the certification actually helps. It is a one cool way, or one shortcut that you can say, okay, I have a certificate and you trust me because I have a certificate. Now, having said that, I do understand that a lot of people actually go for certifications these days. And I know a few certifications, like SIPS is there. SIPS is a renowned certification that is there. CSSM, the certification of the supply chain management, that is also a good certification one. Then SIG is also there, that is also giving some certificates. Um, but I would say that I still believe that the real skill is what you know, and what you, even in a certificate also. If you are doing a certification course, what you get out of that certification is the main important thing. I would say if somebody is going for an interview, especially the guy who is interviewing the candidate, he should actually ask questions. It is not that because a guy has a certification, he should just pass along the exam, right? So that's my take on it. Again, people might differ on it, but I would say if you grow while learning and while doing things, that is something that is beyond any certification for that matter.
Okay. Now, suppose somebody is there. I mean, he has got into a procurement role. Okay,
Mhm.
but how basically can he soar high or show his skills to his bosses so that he would climb the ladders of promotions earlier than his peers? Okay, because
Right.
what happens is an MRO team normally has a lot of people. I mean, if you look at an MRO in a normal manufacturing company, they would have around 10,000, 20,000, or even 50,000, 1 lakh odd material codes to procure, right? So these material codes are then divided into 20, 25, 30 odd people. And because of the quantum of people in the MRO team is very high, okay, the promotions I believe are slow. Also, those are not in the what do you call? They are not in the not the dear child of of the company bosses. The MRO
Right.
purchases are not the dear child of the company bosses, right? So how can if you're stuck there somewhere, How do you get out of the situation? How do you show your worth, that you are different from others, that you are better than others? How can somebody do that?
Right. So first thing, Rachit, is that what you said is correct. The purchase is not the favorite child of the CEO. So that is there, and it is there because of various reasons. One of the main reasons why is it is there is because it is considered as a cost center rather than a profit generator. Although we do a lot of savings generation and all that, but it is still a reality that we are still seen as somebody who spends money, and spends money well is a different story altogether, but still it is considered as a cost center. So procurement being cost center doesn't get that much exposure, or the growth is not that quick, or whatever you can call. But having said that, the role itself is also such that you cannot have a quick promotion. It takes time. And the buyer role itself, if you consider, it takes at least 2 to 3 years for a buyer to actually refine himself and get to that position. you know so it takes a lot of time. And then procurement, if you see, you can see it in this way, how somebody explained it to me, that in a forest there are fox and there are rabbits, right? So fox roams around the forest, and the rabbit goes underground, right? Whatever the rabbit does is mostly underground. So if you see procurement, you can either roam around the landscape like a fox, like you are doing the contracts management, also you are doing spend analysis, also you are doing different things that are there in the peripheral of the scope. Or you can dig deep into one scope and you can continue doing that thing, right? So let's say, for example, you are doing an invoice analysis, or you are doing spend analysis, or you are doing buyer itself. You can be an expert in your category like marketing or anything else.
Okay. Now, suppose somebody is there. I mean, he has got into a procurement role. Okay,
Mhm.
but how basically can he soar high or show his skills to his bosses so that he would climb the ladders of promotions earlier than his peers? Okay, because
Right,
what happens is an MRO team normally has a lot of people. I mean, if you look at an MRO in a normal manufacturing company, they would have around 10,000, 20,000, or even 50,000, 1 lakh odd material codes to procure, right? So these material codes are then divided into 20, 25, 30 odd people. And because of the quantum of people in the MRO team is very high, okay, the promotions I believe are slow. Also, those are not in the, what do you call, they are not in the, not the dear child of the of the company bosses. The MRO
right,
purchases are not the dear child of the company bosses, right? So how can, if you're stuck there somewhere, how do you get out of the situation? How do you show your worth, that you are different from others, that you are better than others? How can somebody do that?
right. So first thing, Rachit, is that what you said is correct. The purchase is not the favorite child of the CEO. So that is there, and it is there because of various reasons. One of the main reasons why is it is there is because it is considered as a cost center rather than a profit generator. Although we do a lot of savings generation and all that, but it is still a reality that we are still seen as somebody who spends money, and spends money well is a different story altogether, but still it is considered as a cost center. So procurement being cost center doesn't get that much exposure, or the growth is not that quick, or whatever you can call. But having said that, the role itself is also such that you cannot have a quick promotion. It takes time. And the buyer role itself, if you consider, it takes at least 2 to 3 years for a buyer to actually refine himself and get to that position. you know so it takes a lot of time. And then procurement, if you see, you can see it in this way, how somebody explained it to me, that in a forest there are fox and there are rabbits, right? So fox roams around the forest, and the rabbit goes underground, right? Whatever the rabbit does is mostly underground. So if you see procurement, You can either roam around the landscape like a fox, like you are doing the contracts management also, you are doing spend analysis also, you are doing different things that are there in the peripheral of the scope, or you can dig deep into one scope and you can continue doing that thing, right? So let's say, for example, you are doing an invoice analysis, or you are doing spend analysis, or you are doing buyer itself. You can be an expert in your category like marketing or anything else, and you can explore more and more in depth of that knowledge, right? So both of these things, whether you are going from one place to another place, or you are going in depth to one particular disciple, you would end up spending a lot of time in this. So it is no quick wins in this kind of scenario. You have to spend a lot of time. With time, you will get experience, you will get the knowledge, and with time only you will grow. So you can either grow in one vertical, like what the rabbit example is, that you grow from one analyst to, let's say, the senior analyst, then you have a team lead position, then you have a manager position, or you have a hierarchical, like you move from contracts management to buyer, and then buyer to manager, and then manager to CFOs and all that. So whatever you choose is up to you. There is no right or wrong way, but these are the two options that you can do, and both take time.
Anubhav has a great question. I mean, he's asking uh, how sustainability is involving in the supply chain. I mean, how sustainable is and how are emissions or reduction of emissions important for procurement? So I'm going to touch upon that, Anubhav. But before I get into it, I
You
also
want me
have
to
a few.
answer it quick? I can finish it off
Sure,
quick.
sure, 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 sure.
Okay. So sustainability is very important for everyone. Okay. So Anubhav, it is not only supply chain or procurement, it is for everybody's responsibility. If anything that you are doing in your own life or in the corporate life, it is some everybody's responsibility. How procurement is in the forefront is because we negotiate with the suppliers. So it is a given fact that the supplier will listen to procurement. That is the expectation everybody has. Now we also get a lot of quick wins, right? Every time we are talking to a supplier, or we are dealing with somebody, we can always go for a quick win. But you stick to your ethics, you stick to your whatever core values you have, and I think that would be the best thing that you can do for mostly everything that is in the ESG. So not only emissions, it is also about, let's say, child labor or diversity spend or anything. And how you do it is up to you, your ethics and your core values, and of course the company, of course.
Okay. Acha, I wanted to touch up. I'm going to take you a little back, okay, and I wanted to touch upon three things or three hacks which all our procurement brothers could use so that they would be able to, make a little difference to what they are doing currently. So what I used to do is I used to use. I'm a chartered accountant, right? So what I used to do is I checked out the what exactly is the cost of the product that the supplier is charging me. I mean, I used to dig into his costs. Fine.
Okay.
Once I've digged into his cost, I know the manpower rates, the material rates, and everything. I used to have a fair expectation of what the prices would be. Okay, and I used to inculcate those things in my QCS whenever I used to send it out to my boss for approvals. So as to tell my boss, see, this material, according to my calculation, this material would come somewhere around this. This vendor is charging us this, okay, and so I think this is a fair price. This would help me in two aspects. Number one, it would help me in negotiating with the client better. Number two, it would also show that I'm very much in knowledge of what is happening in my field. Okay, so
Right.
this is something that you can also use, guys. And let me assure you, it works like magic. Because whenever my approvals used to get to the the seniors, I mean my bosses or anybody else, okay, they used to look at it and they would ask questions. Rachit, how did you get to this figure? And when I used to tell them, they were very amazed by the way that I used to tell them. Okay, I used to tell them, okay, I found this in this cost report, or I found this in this cost report, and this actually uh, made me an expert in the field right from the beginning. So these are the things that you can also inculcate in you. Okay. Uh,
Right.
Secondly, I also tried to use technology. And before, I mean, how I use technology, I'm going to tell you, and then we're going to ask Supratim how technology can affect procurement guy's job. So, guys, technology can, be your partner in crime. Okay, what I used to do is we used to have a SharePoint, and each and every user, you always, I mean, I'm sure it doesn't happen to you as well, but they used to call us, right? Ki, what is the status of my PR? What is the status of my PR? And around 50% of my time was wasted when I used to talk to those people. So I prepared a simple SharePoint screen, which was an Excel sheet, and I used to update the status of each of the items. Just by doing it, I saved around 30 to 40% of my time daily because I did not receive any calls from them. They were happier. They knew what was going on. My bosses knew it, and I had a lot of savings in time and pressure. And when somebody used to go out to my bosses complaining ki, yaar, this has been pending for so long, I used to have the reasons behind it, ki why it was delayed. Second thing was, whenever there was an appraisal season, I mean, whenever they used to appraise me, I used to have the complete details of the items that I have done, how when were they received by them, when did I complete when they complete them out, and how much savings did I achieve. So it helped me out in appraisals and demanding my right or my due to my bosses. So I said, see, I've saved you around 10 crores of money. I should get at least 5 lakh rupees raise or a 2 lakh rupees raise. So this is how I used to do it. I mean, you guys can also try it out. And so anything like that you do in your organization, or how do you handle these things in your organization?
So we are talking about technology, right?
Yes, using
Yeah.
technology so that we as procurement managers could save our time, something of
Right.
that sort.
So I started off when tech was pretty new in procurement. So I started off with at a time when we were running around with paper contracts in our hands, right? So we used to go, we used to sign it, we used to come back, scan the copy, and then upload it in Ariba. So Ariba was a new thing in that time. So Ariba made our lives very easy, right? So with DocuSign and all those other things that came in afterwards, the digital signature and all that, and we did digital signature in a very innovative kind of way. We actually signed it, we scanned it, then used it in that much part only, and all that. So uh, so we
We've all
so
been
I
there.
was lucky to see the entire tech evolve in front of my own eyes, right? So what used to take a lot of time, what used to take like 2 hours, happened in like 15 minutes. Then it became 5 minutes. Now it is all AI. I speak to a lot of vendors who are into AI and all that. And now what used to take like 3 hours before is something that you don't have to even bother about. If AI does its own job and it's doing it right, then it might happen automatically for you. So all these things are happening. So it's a huge step, how things have evolved and all. And I would say that as a youngster, it is very easy if people take it as a threat. I would encourage people not to take it as a threat, because when our job of that signature and scanning and all that, that went off, we were not bothered that this job will cost me my job, I will lose my job or something. Rather, it freed my time and I could learn certain other things. So take it in that way, learn things. The value of technology is only when you are having free time. So enjoy the free time, have learning in that free time, and I think that would only benefit the entire crowd. So that's been my journey with tech. I have always been a supporter of tech, but there is no replacing of human beings actually. If you see, the human connect is far superior than any tech.
Correct. Totally agree. Acha, when we talk about human connect, I mean, we should also talk about networking. So we see a lot of sales professionals who are networking. They are going out, they are attending events. Okay, they are forming their own network, which is actually helping them sell. That's
Mhm.
correct. But how important is networking for purchase professionals as well? I mean, and how do they actually network? Okay, should they go out on events or should they attend live webinars like this one? How should they be connecting? Which platforms should they be using? Your take.
So I don't say that you should do this or you should do that, but what you said is correct. I will just say what I have experienced for my whatever 2 decades I have seen supply chain and procurement. So when we started off, as a code of conduct, we were always told that you should keep it to yourself. You should not go out. You should not interact with too many people, just because of the fact that there is a influence that works. So if somebody gives me a lot of gifts, if somebody gives me a lot of benefits, I should either report it to my manager or I should not take it in the first place. The fact that if I take a lot of gifts from somebody, I might be influenced for my decision. And one of the key things for procurement is to award the business to the right supplier. So that influence should not be there as part of it. But with time, what has happened is that this thinking is gone, a little background. It is not the forefront of thinking anymore. People now think that procurement needs to interact a lot. Procurement needs to bring their story in the front. People should know that we also do a lot of jobs. First thing foremost, you should have a network with your stakeholder. If you're not talking to your stakeholder, then there is no point, right? Procurement has to talk to your stakeholder. The other thing is, LinkedIn has been a great tool for me. I interact a lot in LinkedIn. I put down a lot of posts. People tell me we see your post everywhere in LinkedIn. But the point here is that I'm putting my story in front. And as I said in another podcast, that if you're not telling your story, then you're the bad guy in somebody else's story, right? So we have to put the procurement story in front. And what LinkedIn also does for me is that it also helps me to connect to other procurement guys who are there having the same problems, having the same situations, and they are also discussing about the solutions as to how they come out of that problem and all that. So that helps a lot when you're speaking to somebody who has the same kind of situation as you. It becomes a different brotherhood altogether, right, in the professional world. Off late, I have also started going out in events. I have been going on to events and meeting good procurement professionals. I'm also meeting good sales guys. The only key thing to this, as I said before, also, if you're doing something like this, inform your manager. He should know that you are going out and you're meeting somebody, so that it doesn't become a issue later on, because somebody might say something at a later on stage, right? Because that factor is always there. When somebody doesn't get his award or his business, he will find reasons, and he might find reasons anywhere. So it is good to play safe, but that doesn't mean that you should not interact with people. You should of course interact with people, because the more wider your network is, the better supplier you can pick, the better innovations that you can know, the better idea of the market that you have. So the more you go out, the more you talk to other people, you'll know the solutions to your problems. So that has been a very big change that I've seen in this time.
Totally agree. I mean, in fact, a lot of my knowledge comes from sales guys. So we used to have a
Right.
lot of sales guys visiting us. Okay, and then we used to ask, okay, why is the price rising of this product? I mean, how are supply chains actually happening? Or what is happening at Tata? What is happening at General? Okay, we
Right.
used to get all our informations from the sales guys. So the more you interact with people, the more you get. Okay, there's also there's a beginner question. I mean, there's a new question that we have, and the question is, why should we call it procurement? Okay, why not purchasing or buying? Okay, so what exactly does a procurement encompass? So that's a
So
question that we have.
yeah, so
Yeah.
procurement is not only purchasing. So purchasing is like when you have a requirement and you're going out and you're buying it. That is purchasing. Procurement is forecasting that you will have a need, forecasting that you will have a demand. It is also about the panel of suppliers that you have already ready before the stakeholder comes to you. So somebody gave an example that if somebody is telling me that, let's go and have a coffee at, let's say, McDonald's or Starbucks, that is like purchasing, that you know that where you are going and you are just going there and having something. But if you come to me that I want to have coffee, let's go out, that is actually procurement. That is sourcing and procurement. So when you are finding the source of the material, when you're finding the source of the services, that is where procurement should start. And procurement is actually the whole cycle, from the finding the supplier, or even before that, the spend analysis, till the invoicing and everything. So the 7 steps of procurement works in that way. So it's a long discussion if I go into the all the steps, but I'm just saying that as a layman, if you want to understand how procurement is different from purchasing, it has the 7 steps that are there. So it is spend analysis, and then it has a market strategy, then you have the RFXs, then you have the contract management. So all these steps are there. If you go through that, then you will get a better knowledge as to what all things procurement does. So procurement does a lot more than purchasing.
Okay. We also have Mohammed asking a question. Hey
Mhm.
Mohammed, his question is, how do how doesn't technology has an impact on procurement, as we have seen legacy systems like uh, in the past that are now have been replaced by S4 HANA. So how is technology changing the face of procurement?
So technology is everywhere. If you see it, like I said, right, we were running around with the paper contracts at one time. Digital signature was a technological advancement from what we were around at that point of time. The entire RFX, if you see, we used to do it offline. Many companies still do it offline, but there are tools that can do it automatically. You just have to monitor as a buyer, and technology actually does the entire thing for you. So that is a huge thing. If you see, the same way, if you see, the entire rec to PO thing was all paperwork, all like manual. It has gone into ERP now, and a tool is there who can process it very accurately. It is also, technology is not only accuracy or speed, it is also about compliance. It has a record of whatever you are doing. It has the approval flow, it has all the steps that are followed. So technology gives you the whole picture in one go. So it is quite nice as to what the advancements of technology has been for procurement, and it will continue to go. So with AI, I think it will grow even further. We will get to a point where we'll see what kind of tech can help for finding the vendor, compliance levels, RFX. Entire thing can be automated, and entire thing can be, let's say, AI driven. Even the supplier suggestions can be AI driven. So a lot of scope is there as to how things will change in the future.
Okay. Acha, a small word of advertisement. We also do automations on procurement.
Oh,
So, in case any of you guys want to reach out, we are also planning to streamline blockchains with it. So, if any of you guys want to reach out, you may reach out to me as well. I thought you were talking out for it, team, right? This is the best platform that I can talk. They can also talk about my stuff. I hope you won't
please,
mind.
please. No, no, no one minds, I think. See, there
Okay.
has to be a reason behind everything. So advertisement is a good reason. I have been doing procurement for marketing category for a long time. So I don't mind advertising at all.
Okay. Omkar also has a question about AI-enabled systems and the latest development that can integrate immediately with the existing system. One is ours, others I
Yeah.
don't know. Others he would tell you.
So AI is going everywhere. I have been speaking. So like I spoke to Rachit. He has something going on with AI. His ideas are good. I have also talked to other vendors. Some people are into AI, like they search the web and give you information, like what ChatGPT does. So if you have any question related to procurement, you just put it there as a buyer. The AI searches all the web and it gives you the best solution. AI can also be like what I said for RFXs, right? Your entire RFX is almost automated right now, but with AI you can also get the solutions to your RFXs. Like you can get your suppliers, you can get your scorecard even better. Whatever is right now can be even developed further for RFXs space. AI can also do a lot of compliance checks. So whatever you have like vendors, let's say, is a vendor actually compliant in terms of CO2 emissions, or compliance in terms of is there any financial fraud from that vendor? So those kind of questions can be dealt with AI. They can actually do the market scan, and whatever news is there, those kind of information which the buyer will take days to evaluate, that can be done in matter of 3-4 minutes in an AI system. So those things are pretty nice. I talked to one of the suppliers. They said they could tell you what is the rating of a vendor in terms of compliance and financial frauds or anything. So those kind of red flags can be there for AI. These are good things. These are good things for a procurement guy. You know what you are getting into. You know how to save your time, like that.
So let's see if we have another question. Okay, we have Stanley asking a question. Guys, we are open for questions. I mean, we are open for flow. So please feel free to ask as many questions. Uh, I'm already past time. I promised Supratim will finish off by 6. But I mean, it's a Saturday and I'm very sure he can spare us a few minutes more. So, yeah. Why people are hesitant to share their official email IDs when we want to participate in the RFQs? There is a lot of resistance. How to break that barrier?
So,
I would
Stanley,
also answer
the
that.
thing, yeah. So, how you have to see it is that procurement, as I said, we were always in a shell. We were always not encouraged to give our email IDs. We were never. So, most of the things that we have to do is to ensure the privacy and the confidentiality of the information. So that's how procurement started off. Some people still have that thought process. I'm not saying it is right or wrong, but it's kind of what the thought process is. So if you see, most people will not give you their email IDs. Most people will not give you anything else, because at the end of the day, it is all about that influence effect that is there. So if you get to know that somebody has a prior contact with another supplier, let's say, you will not feel confident about that RFX at all. So one of the key areas of procurement is to have a unbiased, fair for everybody kind of RFX. So if I have a little bit of inclination towards one vendor, then that entire thing is questioned. So that is something that people want to avoid, and because they want to avoid, they don't get into it at all. So that is how this thinking is. I'm not saying that this thinking is correct, but that's the idea as to how the procurement guy is coming from. But
Okay,
this thing is
Stanley,
also changing from with time.
very true. Stanley, if I may tell you, let me be very frank. You are work for the buyer. Okay, so if you would quote it out to him, he would have to analyze your procurement stuff, everything. Okay, so as a procurement guy, most of the procurement guys want to avoid having new vendors. Number one. Number two, this is not right. This is totally wrong. It should not happen. But this is how many things happen. Okay, and it is the organizations that would have to take the step here, and they would have to differentiate between vendor onboarding or vendors who onboarding vendors who are willing to participate in an RFP, and the purchaser who wants to participate in an RFP. So they should be segregating it to two different departments, so that there is no link between who gets to quote on an RFP and then the buyer getting it. Okay. First of all, how can you break that barrier? Okay, breaking that barrier is starting out with normal communications, star, telling them how willing you are to participate, them sharing your credentials with them on hand, so that they are very much sure that you would be a good vendor to them. Okay, and also finding out ways so that you could you know go to the buyer and meet him personally, not in his office, so that he's able to know you better. I mean, these are the ways that my suppliers used to use, uh, if when they wanted to approach me out, but or I would have preferred my suppliers to approach me out with a uh, complete portfolio of theirs. Many of the suppliers did not even have their GST number, which is tax identification number in India, with their profile, or with that they do not even have it. So we cannot have any vendor that is pretty very new, no matter how cheap that product is, because we at the end of it we would also have to look into the quality of things, right? So that is also an aspect to it. We have as a third party aggregator onboarding for MRO procurement, how reliable it is. If so, passing legal compliance in terms of vendor consolidate or MRO aggregator is good or not. Okay. Can we have third party aggregators to, what do you go, onboard MRO vendors? Can we have them?
Yes, we can have
Can we
them.
have third party
It is
aggregators as our MRO vendors?
right. So it is a possibility there. There, the small, especially the small buys, right? Be it MRO or any other buy also. The onboarding part of any big company is so complex that they don't want it to do it themselves, and it also takes a lot of time. So, average onboarding time for a big company will take a lot of time because they have a lot of things associated with it. So let's say the compliance part, the financial stability part, the other parts that are there, those due diligence questions will be huge for anybody to answer and then to validate those things. So in order to do that, what most companies do is they have a third party aggregator for small, low risk kind of buyings. So they will channelize their spend towards that, and that person will onboard the other guy and pay that guy off. So that is how the thing is going on. Now, in this scenario, for a vendor, it also means that there is less paperwork, there is a quick turnover of things, and you get paid for your whatever job you are doing. So that way it works for them. For the aggregator, it works because they have their own interest, however they are planning it and all that. From a company's point of view, it works because they don't have to onboard that vendor and they don't have to make their vendor base heavy or whatever. So it works for everybody. From a legal point of view, if it is a non critical, low dollar spend that is there, then I think it works for everybody. But there are problems as well. Maybe I'll not get into the problem one. That you can find out yourself. But I'm saying that it can work. It is there and it is working for most companies. Even for marketing, also I've seen. I was working for a company and they took all their AV production and put it in one aggregator mode. So, so whatever AV production was there, whatever video shoots and audio shoots were going on, those were done by that aggregator. So it is a way of doing things, and it works very well at times.
I would totally agree. In fact, Omkar, I would give you an insight. So, in the company that I work, I mean, we wanted to at some point of time buy from Amazon. Okay,
Right.
and the funny thing is that as a company, you can't buy from Amazon because they did not have the
Right.
GST details and everything. Although they have business for Amazon, but
Right.
even
Right.
that is not possible. Okay, so we used to have aggregators for it, whom we used to
Right.
give the link and everything, and they used to buy it out for us. Okay, we used to pay them commissions for it, and they used to work for us. So it was a very time saving effort, because and it was quicker as well. So around by the end of the year, I mean, we started off in, I think, May, June, and by the end of December, okay, uh, 20 to 30% of my procurements went through Amazon, which were very small items. But when you aggregate them, it amounted to somewhere between 30 40 lakh rupees at least a month. So this is how we used to do it. Hope that helps. And thank you, Stanley. Thank you for the thumbs up. Any other questions, or we are ready for wrap up? Acha, Supratim, just a question. How do if any company founder or an MSME vendor or if MSC person is seeing this event, how do you think that they can streamline their procurement? They don't have the tech to to get into SAP or to get into what do you call any other tech giants. Okay, so how do they streamline their process? Because a lot of frauds or errors happen to them. Okay, and what is the potential loss that they are facing? I read a report which said around 10 to 15%, but I want to know from your mouth, I mean, how do they save it?
So before I answer that, Rachit, the whatever I tell would be more like easier to say than done, right? So whatever I say is I myself acknowledge that it is easier said. So most of the companies that you are saying, that MSMEs and small time companies, they start from a point where procurement is done by somebody who is just there in the office, right? So whoever is there who needs the thing, or whoever is just there, who doesn't have any proper work or something, that guy is given the procurement stuff. That guy goes and he buys whatever knowledge he has. He doesn't look into legal terms. He doesn't look into the compliance part. He is just buying the stuff as a reactionary mode. Like how there was a question, right? What is the difference between purchasing and procurement? So everybody starts from purchasing. You have a requirement, you go out in the market and you buy the stuff. You're not bothered about the legal term, you're not bothered about the savings. As you said, there is a potential 10 to 15% that you can lose when you are doing stuff like this. That is the starting point. And I don't say that at your starting point you will start finding out ways to improve your procurement. But when you do, the first step is to get a proper buyer, right? So get a proper buyer, get a SOP there. You should have a operating procedure for everything. You should know as to if you have a requirement, you should go to this guy. That much clarity should be there, and that person should have the clarity as to whom he should go for approval, he should go for other things. That is the starting point. So have a buyer, have a SOP, have a standard procedure and all that. Once your procurement thing is a little matured, then you go for your tech enhancements and all that. Nowadays, most of the things, I mean, most of the people actually start with Excel. So where I have seen is intake forms are always Excel. That is how they start. Approvals are always emails. All the RFXs and all that are offline. But at least the documentation part should be there. People should be able to justify as to why you bought that thing. So your compliance part should be there. Audit should be there, regular audits. That is where you catch all the frauds. And your approval system. That is where you will stop all the big time problems that you will face. So once you overcome these kind of things and you have a regular kind of intakes that you are getting, you have a regular requirements that you are getting, then you start doing the tech enhancement of it. So tech has to come after all these are there. And again, as I said, it is easier said than done. So it's a gradual process.
Oh, that was good. And thank you very much, Supratim, for taking us through this journey. I mean, I totally enjoyed it. I'm sure our participants too did. And thank you everybody for asking so many questions. I mean, it was our first stream, so if you liked it, it would be great if you could give us a thumbs up or just uh, connect out to us. Supratim is a top LinkedIn voice. I mean, top most LinkedIn voice, because top LinkedIn voices are many. Okay, and top most LinkedIn voice with around 10,000 following,
Thank you.
and it was great that he could have come over. Okay, You are free to connect with me as well. I'm not as क्या कहते हैं, uh, what do you call it, as famous as Supratim is, but I can help you a bit if you want. Okay, and
You are
uh,
not as like everywhere
as
like I am.
famous,
Like, yeah, like everywhere
yeah.
on the face kind of thing.
Hey, we have Prajit asking question. I mean,
Yeah,
yes, Prajit.
we'll take it. We'll take this one and we'll shut it down
We'll
then.
take this one and we'll close. Okay. How important is SLA or TAT in procurement processes? As procurement can be a time-consuming process. How can technology expedite it?
Okay, so technology can expedite it because whatever is there, technology can only enhance the overall TAT and all. So that is the easy part of it. How important is TAT and SLA for procurement? It is pretty important because whoever is coming to you is coming with a requirement, and he is actually having a time bomb that you need to diffuse, right? But then, having said that, it should not be an excuse for not doing your job. So a lot of people actually don't want procurement to do things, and they will say that this is urgent and all that. That should not be the case. A part of procurement is to have compliance. A part of procurement is to do their job regardless of what the other people think about it. So, and then I read one good thing in LinkedIn where one guy said that there was never some problem because of the TAT. So it has never been a problem that procurement was not able to get something within the TAT and something, bad happened. The bad thing happens only when there is no proper planning from the requester. So his proper no proper planning rather is not your emergency in that way. So this is a theme that will keep on coming to you if you're a procurement guy. There would be urgent requests and people will expect you to do things by bypassing the process and all that. You should not be doing that. What you should be doing is you should be engaging with the requester more so that he gives you more time. So if you have a good stakeholder communication and if you have a good engagement with your stakeholders, then you will see that SLA and TAT will actually not matter because that guy will tell you from the beginning that I have a requirement coming up in another 10 days. So that is the relationship that you need to build with your stakeholder. That is the point where you need to be as a procurement guy. And if you are
Uh,
there, then you know the rest of the things
Supratim,
happen.
the last question. We are both of completely different views. I believe that
Okay,
SLA and
please
TAT,
carry on.
SLA and TAT are very important for me. Because I've seen organizations having a TAT around 60 days or 90 days, and
Right,
I blame the TAT or SLA in the for uh, to the manual processes and the duplication of tasks that a purchaser keeps on doing. Okay, I'm not saying that it is only the purchasers who are at fault, but yes, purchasers are also at fault. I mean, if something comes to you for procurement, it is for you to buy. In case you have issues with the description of the product or anything, you should get back to the user and tell them, boss, this is not happening. You should give me out the correct description of stuff. But maintaining the TAT and the TAT of around 60 days, 90 days, 180 days is no excuse. Number one. Number two, technology, I believe, can help a lot in it, because what happens is the purchasers are wasting their time in preparing QCS, or because of the quantum of items that they have, most of the items get lost in the transition. Okay, and you should be using some sort of at least an Excel sheet. I'm not promoting anything, but at least an Excel sheet, so that you know what all items do you need to procure, and where are those items stuck. Okay, many of the purchasers don't have that idea as well. uh, you should be very open to your communications. Your processes should be very transparent, so that your users know where it is stuck, how is it stuck, and how are you going to solve it. Okay,
right,
and if you have something, if you have a PR that is not happening, or nobody is quoting, talk to your user, tell them that nobody is quoting it. I'm not able to procure it. There's nothing wrong with it, and we need to take some other steps. Okay, I've been to my purchasers, I've been to my users like that, and they have been more than happy helping me with more details, helping me out with
Right.
even vendors. Many at times you can contact these vendors and they might help you of sort. And the point is, when you save tag, you save money. Okay, you save into cost, the downtime cost, be it, or the cost that are used, uh, between the people fighting. Because when you are fighting, you are
Right.
actually wasting manpower, man hours as well. But that's my take on it. Supratim, stake is also very essential. I mean, that's a stake on it. But
No, I think the combination of both of us are correct.
the combination,
You are,
the combination of it
because
should work.
I am from a procurement point of view. I always say that the more you interact, the better your TAT is. The more time you get. I would never compromise
I agree on
compliance
it.
because of that. But yeah, your point is also correct. I think both of us are somewhere. I mean, it's in the midway that we'll have to meet.
Midway we have to, yes. Thank you. And people, we are going to, we are planning to have such streams more often. We would need some encouragement from you all. So if you like it, just tag us along. Tell us that you loved it. In case you have you have gained anything, just use it out. Okay. And thank you, Supratim. Thank you for coming
Thank you
over.
so much.
I'm looking forward for more such interactions with you, man. Okay, I
Sure,
totally
sure.
enjoyed it.
You let me know whenever
Okay.
you are free.
Thank you, and thank you, Dipti, behind the camera. I mean, you have been amazing bringing in all the questions. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
all for listening.
Bye, bye. Thank you.